first was proposed? Passive, right? It didn't propose itself. The theory receives the action. Was proposed by Alfred Wegener. He's actually pronounced Wagner, right? In the 1920s. And when we're talking about the Earth's crust or the lithosphere, we make this the Earth, right? The crust would be the outer layer, the outer rocky layer, the lithosphere. What is underneath the crust? The mantle, right? The mantle is under the crust. And why am I putting it in red? What is the mantle, one level of the mantle composed of? Molten magma, right? Hot, molten magma. What do I call magma? When it comes out of a volcano. Lava. Then we call it lava. It's the same substance, but in a volcanic eruption, right? It's lava. So why are in the center of the Earth? What's the center? The core, right? The center of anything is called the core. Now, why are the plates always moving? Because the mantle is liquid. If you put anything on liquid, it's going to be constantly moving, right? So this movement of the plates is what is responsible for most geological activity, right? Tell me what happens when plates come together. What word do we use for when plates come together? They converge, right? When plates converge. What does CO always mean? Together. So they come together, right? When plates come together, what happens? They just come together?
No, it's addiction.
They collide, right? When plates converge, they collide. Crash into each other, right? They crash into each other. Then what happens? Subduction. One plate sinks beneath the other plate and pushes it up. So then what do I have? Mountain formation. Good. They collide, resulting in subduction, right? Sub always means under, and duct means lead, to lead under. One plate is led under the other, right? Resulting in subduction, then uplift. Again, the land is lifted up. So we have mountain formation. What else? What's on the board over there? Volcanic eruptions. That's why the magma comes out of the mantle and ejected as lava, right? Mountain formation, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, right? A majority of geological activity is the result of what? Plate tectonics. So we know when plates converge, right? When plates converge, they collide, subduction, uplift. What's the opposite of converge? Diverge, right? When plates diverge. What's diverge mean? Separate or move away from each other. Move away from each other. Right? What happens when plates diverge? What happens when they diverge? What spreads? Continents drift because the seafloor spreads, right? When plates diverge, seafloor spreading occurs. Seafloor spreading. And then this leads to continental, what word do I use for slow movement? Drift. Great. Continental drift. Slow movement, right? So again, Wagner came up with this theory because we know that the Earth didn't always look like it does today, right? What is this? This is Pangaea, the supercontinent that once existed. And because of the divergence of plates, the seafloor spreads and the continents drifted or slowly moved, right? So you often get TOEFL readings dealing with Pangaea and, of course, plate tectonics. Now, in your reading, they talk about converge and diverge. What is it called where it happens? Where it happens. It's called a convergent what? What word do they give you for area? Where the plates interact. Boundary. A convergent boundary. This is basically where the plates interact. Where the plates interact. Where this collision occurs. The plates interact. Okay? And so they told us we have convergent boundaries. So what's the adjective for diverge? Divergent. Right? Divergent boundaries. It's like that movie, the pop movie, Divergent. Because that girl wasn't like everybody else. She moved away from society. Have you guys seen that movie, Divergent? Right? It's like the new Hunger Games type film. Right? Divergent boundaries. Where the plates diverge. It's the where. Okay. And then they also mentioned transcurrent boundaries, which aren't as common. Most of the geological activity is coming from the convergent and the divergent types, right? So again, most, or a majority, in fact, of geological activity refers to plate tectonics. What do I call a weakness in the Earth's crust? These weak points. Faults, right? What's the fault we have here in California? What's the fault we have in California? It's the San Andreas Fault, right? And you can see it stretches all the way from Northern California to here in San Diego. And again, faults are weaknesses in the Earth's crust, right? So you often have a lot of earthquakes and other phenomena occurring there, right? Faults, weaknesses in the Earth's crust here. Okay, that's where a lot of earthquakes and other geologic activity happens. All right, now that we've reviewed these concepts, let's take out our reading test, focusing on what? Strategies. What is the secret to success on the TOEFL exam? Implementation of strategies, because we only have how much time to read each reading? 20. We have 20 minutes. So unfortunately, they don't give us sufficient time to actually read everything. So we have to utilize what key tactics? Scanning, locating based on keywords, and paraphrasing. Remember, the correct answers, do they use the same words? No, they frequently use synonyms, right? So let's start off by reading our introduction. Is this a long introduction or is it a short introduction? It is short. So in this case, what should I do? Do I read just the first line or should I read all the introduction? You should read all of it, because remember, if the introduction is less than 6 lines and they already are asking you a question, you're better off having an overall knowledge of what the passage is going to discuss. So a short introduction. And by short, I mean 6 lines or less, 6 to 7 lines or less. I would read it all. It gives you an overview, of the content, of what's going to be discussed. Overview of the content. Now, if it's usually a true thesis, like when you write me an essay and you tell me what ideas you're going to discuss. Now, if it's a long introduction, do I read it all? No, long introduction, just read the first couple lines, until what? Until the concept is defined. So you're not, again, maybe you get this on the exam and you're like, plate tectonics, what is that? Well, they're going to define it for you, aren't they? So never be intimidated or scared of the topic, because you probably know what it is until the concept is defined. Then you begin scanning. Okay. So let's read the introduction. According to the theory of plate tectonics, the upper portion of the Earth's lithosphere. right? The crust, which contains the heavier oceanic and the lighter continental crust, consists of a series of rigid plates that are in constant motion. Why are they in constant motion? Because they're resting on the liquid molten mantle. So they're always moving, right? Now, this theory, we're getting to the answer to question number 1, right? Read question 1 for me, please. Jack?
The word cohesive form is closest in meaning to.
Great. We're getting to the answer now. This theory provides a cohesive model to explain. Do they give me a clue right now? Cohesive model to explain. What word do you see next?
Integrated.
The integrated. This is your contextual clue. The integrated actions of continental drift, seafloor spreading, and mountain formation. So remember, with vocab from context, we have many strategies to guess the key word. Here, I could work on the first 2. I could use either word analysis or a synonym, integrated, that I see here. Okay? What does integrated mean? Combined. Combined, incorporated. Sure, that's one way to look at its relationship. Look at its relationship to a word in the context. Or, what is the prefix? CO. What does CO mean? Together. So I actually have 2 ways of getting this vocab word. So what do you think the best synonym for cohesive is going to be? Lucas? Unified. Unified, yes. Look at the relationship. If things go together, they're unified, yes? Because what does uni mean? One. Unified means one. So this helps me guess the meaning, but so does integrated. If things are combined, they're unified into one. Yes? That's why it's critical that if I do not know the meaning of one of these academic vocabulary words, that I pay attention to the strategies, right? And remember, in Unit 1, I have a separate strategy form for vocab that I give you, where each one of these is thoroughly explained. I separate these and I show you examples of each in our Unit 1 packet. Okay, now we're moving on to paragraph 2. The Earth's plates are estimated to have an average depth of approximately 60 miles or 100 kilometers, but they are believed to vary considerably in size. Right? What does vary mean?
Opposite. Oppose.
They differ, right? They differ in size. We actually can see there's quite a list of all the plates here on the board here, and we're going to be getting to that answer shortly. Okay, but they're believed to vary considerably in size. You see some of them are very large, where others are smaller. Some are estimated to be continental, the size of continents. Jack, do you have a copy? I think you were absent on Thursday. Do you have a copy? Okay, remember, if you're absent, be sure to get a copy of the reading, right? So you can follow along. Oh, Fadi, I believe you were on vacation last week, right, Fadi? So what should you ask the teacher for? The reading, of course. We want you to benefit from all this knowledge you're acquiring in class, Fadi. Okay. So, again, are they all the same size? No, they vary considerably or differ considerably in size. Okay? So, some are estimated to be continental, the size of continents, or even hemispheric, the size of a hemisphere, right? While others are believed to be much smaller. Okay? Now, though the actual boundaries and sizes and shapes of the plates, underline this, are not known for sure. This is your context for vocabulary number 3. We're doing number 3 first because we're getting to that answer before number 2. Okay? So, I'm looking for, again, a contextual clue here. So my clue is, though the actual boundaries and sizes and shapes of the plates are not known for sure, it has been postulated Okay, that there are 6 major plates and somewhere around the same number of smaller ones. So what do you think postulated means? Great. Hypothesize. Again, a hypothesis is a theory. It is an educated guess. So when they use the term is not known for sure, well then this is my best choice, right? To hypothesize is the verb, right? Because they say not known for sure. So it's a theory. But let me tell you, this theory is widely accepted. The theory of plate tectonics is accepted by over 95% of geologists, in which case we can assume that it's more like a fact. Remember, if a theory is accepted by over 90 to 95% of scientists, you can assume it's a fact, like Einstein's theory of relativity. We accept this as a fact, even though it's called theory. So remember, there's 2 types of theories. Theories like anyone who voted for Donald Trump might be mentally incompetent. Is that proven? No, that's just one of Soraya's theories, right? Not 90% of people don't accept that. But again, if over 90% accept it, then it's closer to a fact. All right, now we are going to be getting to the answer. I actually just, you like that joke? I actually just read the answer to number 2. Now, number 2, what do I do in these situations where they do not give me a keyword? It's an inference question. And number 2 is just saying it can be inferred from paragraph 2. There's no keyword to scan for. So what should I do in these situations? This is where I recommend using my inference exception strategy. Remember, I have one for inference, where they give you a keyword from the question. Carefully choose keywords from the question. But there is no keyword, right? So in this case, I should use the exception strategy. Now here I tell you, go to the bottom 4 lines of a paragraph, if it's long. This would be considered a long paragraph, because it's not as short as number 1. So if I work 4 lines from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, where does that bring me? Right after postulated, right? So here's where my answer is coming from. It's just asked me what can be inferred. So I have to guess logically. Okay. It has been inferred, right? The actual boundaries and sizes are not known for sure, but it's been postulated that there are 6 major plates and somewhere around the same number of smaller ones. So Jen, what did you put for number 2?
D.
D is correct. Go ahead.
There are most likely around 6 minor plates.
There are most likely 6 minor plates, right? They told me that we know there are 6 major plates and somewhere around the same number of smaller ones. So somewhere around the same number is 6. It's not directly stated, it's inferred. Yes? Now, did anybody put A? What word in option A tells me that maybe I shouldn't choose it? None. Option A says none. Remember, answers that say none, all, never, always, right? Equal, same. Well, it just depends. It says somewhere maybe like there are most likely, right? But these are often, usually, wrong answers, right? I mean, I'd say about 98% of the time they're wrong. Now, of course, if the reading says all, you can choose it, like all humans breathe. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's wrong, it says all. You know, all dolphins live in the ocean. Usually, if it's biological fact, then it can be correct. But the point is, if the reading doesn't say all, then the answer should not say all. It's usually wrong. Okay? All right. So now, most of the plates, we can bring up our picture again here. Okay? We have pictures of all these plates. Can we count them? Are there about 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12, right? Somewhere around. They don't say exactly, but you can guess. And you'll notice some are much bigger than others. They vary in size. Okay? Okay. Now, most of the plates consist of both soil, which is continental. This means material from the continents, North America, South America, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, right? And sima, oceanic crust. They're in constant movement, though they move at an extremely slow pace. What is pace? Speed or rate, right? Extremely slow, right? Pace, speed, rate. And these movements cause frequent interactions between plates. Now, where they interact is called what? A boundary. That's where this collision is happening. That's where this divergence is happening. All right, now we're getting to an author's purpose question that, to be honest, is almost more like an inference. Okay, we've practiced some inference questions similar to this. But when I see author's purpose, what does that tell me? When you see the word author, how must you think? You need to think like a writer, right? Think like a writer. It's author's purpose. The author is the writer. Okay, and there are various strategies to use. However, this is the first question in a new paragraph, right? Think like a writer. If you are going to say, at this time, scientists have identified 3 different types of boundaries between plates. Now, why would the writer say, at this time? Right? What do you think? Alini, what'd you put here for number 4? Why does the author use the expression at this time at the beginning of paragraph 3?
D.
Which one?
D.
D. The major plates are all currently moving away from each other. What's wrong with D, Alini? Alini, what's wrong with D? All? They're all moving away from each other? So again, here, usually wrong answer. Sorry, Alini. But no, because many of them, Alini, are also converging. They're not all diverging. Many of them are converging. All right, at this time, treat it like an inference a little bit. Why would I say that, Dimna, at this time?
B.
Which one?
B.
B. Interactions are currently occurring between plates. Not a bad choice, because you would think at this time, means it's happening now. But do you remember when we did some inference questions like this?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Benjamin?
Answer?
Yeah.
I think it's A.
It's A. Go ahead.
Small types of boundaries may be found in the future.
Yes, if I tell you at this time, scientists have identified 3 types of boundaries, you know what? As a writer, you can say, well, that's probably because more boundaries might be found in the future. And I think they have been, because this book is about 12 years old. And did you notice my map here? I think there were more than 12, weren't there? I was counting them like there's more than 12 here, right? Probably because they've identified more boundaries, okay? Repeat after me. At this time, means more can be found later. The choice, the best wrong answer is probably Dimna's, okay? B, interactions are currently occurring, because you could also easily interpret at this time as currently, but we've learned in TOEFL, when they say at this time, it means more in the future.